Okay, me again. What I wanted to say was this is going to be about my top five greatest college football athletes of all time. Now, I don't just look at success. I don't just look at athletic ability, stats, and championships. I look at all that, but I also look at character, behavior on and off the field, and all those things. So some of these athletes might not get mentioned that you guys might be thinking about. You want to dispute that? Put that down in the comment section. That's cool. We'll talk about it. Excuse me. Number five, I'd have to put Tim Tebow there. Tim Tebow was very successful with the Florida Gators. He won a national championship there. He's won an SEC title. He beat Alabama. The last time Alabama lost a game in Atlanta was to that Florida team he was on back in '08, '09, something like that, right? Well, he never lost to Florida State. He did very well as a starter. He set records that are still in place at the University of Florida, even in 2021, going into 2022. And he had really good character. He had a really good attitude. Nothing bad was ever said about him. The thing is, he was a good running quarterback. He could never really win a game with just straight up with his arm. Even in the NFL that show. But this isn't about the NFL. It's just And sometimes I think he was just maybe a too much of a goody. He might have been a different person in the locker room. So I agree that he was a good person. Still is a good person. He's good for recruiting. He's good for doing a lot of big things. I say recruiting if he wants to be a coach one day. I think he'd do well. But I wouldn't put him at number one, though. Number four, I would have to say, as far as college football athletes, I'd put Joe Burrow at number four. Joe Burrow is probably the best quarterback of this past decade in terms of accomplishment, stats, character, grit, and determination. When he was with Ohio State, he was not a starter; he was a backup. So when he went to LSU, and he raised a lot of people, a lot of eyebrows. A lot of people were surprised because, as Kirk Herbstreit said, quarterbacks go to LSU and die. They don't do anything. But his first year, he won 10 games. He wasn't much of a good passer his first year. I mean, he was a good passer. He just didn't have the stuff he did the following year in 2019. 2018, he won a Fiesta Bowl against the top 10 undefeated UCF back then. And then the 2019 year, I know Orgeron was the coach, but I think if he didn't have Burrow or Coach Brady helping him, he wouldn't have done what he did that year. Joe Burrow had so many touchdown passes. He beat everybody, including Clemson, when Clemson was winning almost 30 games in a row at that point. It was the Sugar Bowl when they beat them in LSU and Louisiana, not in LSU's field, but it was close. He just had a good attitude too. He was never rude, he was never nasty, but he was always very confident that he could win, and he did win all the games that he needed to win. He beat everybody he played while at LSU. He lost to Texas A&M, Florida, and I think Alabama his first year, but then he beat all those teams the following year. So he could say he beat everybody as a starter, and he won the Heisman Trophy, of course. Very humble guy, good spirit, good attitude. So I look at all that too. So I put him at number four. Number three, I'd put. Oh, this is a tough one as far as college athletes. I'd put Deshaun Watson at number three. I know he's going through the legal troubles, but I don't care about that. In college, he didn't do anything as far as we know. Nothing proven. As far as the NFL, I don't care. But Deshaun Watson had won so many games for Clemson when he was the starting quarterback. His only losses were to Alabama and Pittsburgh. Clemson ended up being where it's at right now, or close to where it's at, not because of Trevor Lawrence, but because of Deshaun Watson. And Dabo Swinney always went on and on about his character on and off the field, saying he was a good person outside the football field. So that's a big thing if you're a college athlete, because you got little kids watching you, trying to imitate you, be you. They look up to you, they respect you, they love you, and he would be the guy for that. So, and I remember when 2015 season came around, the only loss they had was to Alabama, and it wasn't his fault. He played a heck of a football game. Fast forward a year later, they lose to Pittsburgh, but they beat everybody else. They blow out Ohio State that year, so they get another crack at Alabama. Because of him, they won the national championship on the last 10 seconds of the game. There was 1 second left, and they took the lead with him and Hunter Renfrow. So I should make this a dual position for Watson and Hunter Renfrow. But I'm just going to say it's going to be Deshaun Watson because he was the one making the throws. He got hit a lot in that game. He was getting rattled in that national championship by Foster, Tomlinson, and all those, Deron Payne, all those guys. So to come back and not only be down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but to come back and win the game, and to cap off your career like that, that's pretty darn good, man. So I'd put him at number 3, and also his character, as far as before the NFL goes, if that's even true. The number 2 greatest college football athlete of all time, that's Deion Sanders. And I'll tell you who number 1 is in a second, but Deion Sanders, the most athletically gifted guy in college football history. Nobody is more athletic than him. Nobody made more plays than him defensively. And nobody was a bigger star than he was during his time. Even today, he would be a big star. Probably the biggest star at defensive back. Maybe in all of college football. Who knows? But that man played so well. I'm surprised he never won a national championship. I swear, they would have won another national championship if they had him on FSU's team in 2016 and maybe 17. They would have won more games when Jimbo was about to leave. He would have been a big difference maker in the recent years. And he was arrogant, he was cocky, but he had a right to do that. Okay, so that's why he's in the top 3, but he's not number 1. Number 1, I would have to say it would be Jalen Hurts. And as far as college football, Jalen Hurts, as a freshman, played for Alabama. He was a starting quarterback. I think he was the first ever freshman starting quarterback in Alabama history. If I'm wrong about that, whatever. I'm not an Alabama fan, but I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. I respect him a lot. Except when he played FSU. I was talking bad about him because he played my team and he beat my team, so I wouldn't like him after that. I'm a little petty. But, he lost the national championship. And I remember when part of Deshaun Watson winning was because he couldn't throw the football very well. And that same problem persisted going into 2017 when they played Georgia in the national title game. He could not throw the football, so Tua came in and took his spot. And basically, they threw him to the side and treated him like trash. And he could have transferred. He could have done anything he wanted to do. But he didn't do that. And I respect this about him. He's already a good athlete. He was hard to tackle. Good, very strong arm. So he was capable. He just wasn't, coached the right way, I guess, or managed correctly. Obviously, he went to Oklahoma. He looked like a different player. But, I respect him coming back and helping Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC title game. He stuck it through. Then he left when everything was done. So that's why I have him at number 1.